I've been grieving for 13 years now since the loss of my mum. In this episode, I share the top 3 things that I've learned that can help you in your healing journey.
Welcome back to another episode of Good Grief. I'm Ryan, and this is my wife Kaylee.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaylee.
We're not in the usual spot that we film our podcast.
We are not. We are on a different couch. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't recognised, those who are listening along won't be able to see, but we'll sound the same, but we don't look the same.
No, we got hit by a Category 2 tropical cyclone.
Yeah. For those of you in the States, it's something similar to a hurricane.
Cross tornado.
Cross tornado, yeah. A mix of the two.
Yeah, so huge.
Flooding, winds, you name it, falling trees, roads closed, power out. We're on the 4th day of no power at our house. So hence why we're here.
Which is the 4th day of cold showers.
Yes.
Heating up dinner in
the
candlelight.
dark, candlelit.
Thankfully our gas still works on our stove, but not for our hot water. So
yes,
it's been heating up water in a saucepan, taking that to the shower and having a little bird bath, as we call it.
It's been kind of like candlelight glamping in a way. Yeah. Without all the luxuries.
So shout out to Liz and Anthony. This is their home. They've got power and internet, and this podcast is due out tomorrow, depending on when you listen to this, and we had to get it out.
We did. So this podcast is sponsored by the Singhams, and
Yes.
we're eternally grateful for them and their friendship and their hospitality and generosity.
But hey, rain, hail, or cyclone, we're gonna be bringing you good grief content, and we haven't missed an episode in 77 weeks.
Oof.
This is the 77th episode.
Yeah.
But we've got a few things to celebrate, and before we get into your biggest lessons that I'm excited to hear after losing your mum, we want to celebrate a couple of things.
Yes.
Firstly, all of the women around the world that are part of our family. It was International Women's Day on Saturday, the 8th, which also happens to coincide with the day your mum died.
Yeah.
So pretty special day.
So special. That we didn't even know it was that day existed when she passed. So that's a little cherry on top for her story. So yeah.
So shout out to all the wonderful women tuning in or supporting from wherever you are in the world. Like, you're amazing, and you do more than most people know. So,
and we just want to honour you and celebrate you, and we're just so grateful you're in our world, and that, yeah.
And then we've got a few things coming up this week, which are pretty exciting too.
Yes.
We've got our first welcome coffee call inside of our Good Grief community. We're excited to meet women from all over for that, who are new to our world.
So excited.
And then we're actually taking part in a prophetic giftings course. We've registered for that with Anne and Greg Ellis.
Yes.
I've known them for a decade now, part of our church. Wonderful humans, but also so prophetically gifted. Anne's going to be teaching inside of the Good Grief Club at the end of this month, which is exciting.
So exciting. It's going to be so great. Can't wait to have her
She's
come.
going to be sharing her testimony and how it relates to the book of Job and what we can get out of that as we walk through grief. But then later in this week, we've got our Introduction to Processing Grief workshop. So last I checked, there was like over 400 women registered for that.
Oh, we're loving holding these, and women just get so much out of it, and they're just so thankful that they came.
So if you'd like to join us and you haven't come to one, or you did come to one and you had grief brain or you had to leave the kids or whatever, the link is below in the description. You can come join us for free. Come just receive, meet other women, hang out with us, and it's going to be a fantastic workshop.
And also,
what else we got? There's a lot happening.
I know,
what
there's
else?
so much happening. What else? If you are within, like, say, 200 kilometres of the Gold Coast, Australia, we are holding our second meet and grief on the Gold Coast, on the South End. So if you can make it, come join us.
In person.
We've
got coffees happening. There's going to be women joining from all over. It's going to be happening at the gathering. We'll make sure that link is below for you as well if you're interested to join us.
Yeah.
But last time we held our first meet and grief, friendships were made and are still going And
Still
it's
going strong.
nearly a
And
year on.
one of them comes to our church.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, all right. Hopefully,
Hopefully you caught all that, or
Yes.
some of it.
But
Or
we
you
just-
can rewind and listen again.
Our heart is that we would just invite you into all of the amazing
Yeah.
things
We
that are
don't want you to
going
miss
on.
anything.
But without further ado, let's dive into things. Firstly, for anyone that doesn't know your story, catch us up to speed.
So just on Saturday, it was 13 years since my mum passed. She was 48, I was 24, and she'd been on a 7-year journey battling cancer. It was 6 weeks before my eldest brother's wedding, and obviously like just a bit over a year before her 50th, and she passed. She passed on 8th of March 2013, and didn't get to see any of us get married or have kids, and yeah.
So that was a very succinct, well done.
Oh, thanks.
Telling your story. You can go back if you want to hear Kaylee's full story to our
Episode 1.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious, but also excited to hear the lessons that you've learned over 13 years. I know it was so easy just to put them into 3 lessons.
Oh yeah, so easy.
So easy. But how would you like to kick us off?
Yeah. Look, the first and biggest thing I learnt after my mum's passing was that not all miracles happen this side of eternity. And if you go back and listen to my story, or you'll hear me say it on certain other episodes, I had this moment sitting with my pastor at the hospital window, and I was wrestling with, do I keep praying for the miracle or do I let her go? Because the doctors had told us that she might not last the weekend at that stage. And she asked me something that has shaped my grief as I've thought about it over and over again. And she asked me, can you do both? And
Pray
so,
for the miracle and be able to let her go
yes,
at the same time.
at the same time. Yeah. So not lose my faith, not lose my hope in her getting a miracle, but also be willing to let her go if that's God's will. So, yeah.
How has that made you think about eternity now?
Yeah, so I think that obviously Mum has got her miracle, you know. She's dancing on the holy streets in glory of heaven, like with Jesus. She has got her miracle. She's got her healthy body. She's just having, I can just imagine, like, excuse the words, but such a fat time up there. Mum loved to party. She loved to dance and sing. So I can just imagine it's endless up there. And so she got her miracle, but they don't always happen down here on earth. They don't always happen.
Or the way that we expect them
Yes.
or want them to happen. You know, obviously we want our loved ones to stick around longer. So
That's
we're praying
right.
for that miracle.
But this isn't it. This isn't eternity down here. And so there's so much more on the other side of this earthly life. So.
Yeah, and it's such a good point that you make, because like when you shift your focus back towards eternity and, you know, in the presence of God, that's a huge thing that helps people work through grief and to last through grief and last through those dark moments,
Yeah.
is having something else to hope for. So
Yeah.
huge lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, lesson number 1.
That's number one.
What have you got for lesson number 2 in your grief journey after losing mum?
Yeah. So your grief is shaped by the choices you make every day. So we have the opportunity multiple times a day to make choices that will shape our grief, whether it's the depth of our grief, the pain, the length, like all these little choices that we make every day, whether it's to get out of bed,
Big or small?
big or small, to go for a walk around the block, to eat healthier
To reach out to a friend.
to reach out.
Or to accept help from somebody.
Absolutely. All these little things end up shaping our grief day by day. And the health of your grief is determined by all these choices.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Have there been any pillar moments through the last 13 years for you that you realize, wow, that decision that I made changed the course of how I grieved or how I was able to move forward?
I think from the start, something our family did really well was we made it okay and comfortable for people to talk about Mum. We talked about her so much that people then felt comfortable to also talk about her. We wanted to keep her spirit alive, and it made us feel close to her. It also, yes, helped us, keep her memory alive, and just helped us heal by saying, oh, Mum would have said this now, or she'd be doing that, or remember when she did this. Like, we just kept the stories and her
Essence.
Her essence, yes. Her
And that-
personality, the things she would have done, said.
And they're hard decisions. You know, when your heart is broken and ripped into 1,000 pieces, to still go, I'm going to bring them up, even though it hurts.
Yeah.
So, by bringing them up, yes, that hurts.
Yeah.
But it reinvigorates the life that they lived.
Yeah.
And
As we spoke about here, the tears would come, but the laughter would come also. So don't trick yourself into thinking that they aren't going to come. They will, but feel them. We also allowed ourselves to just cry, to just talk about Mum and tell a story and laugh and cry and feel all the things. And then people would join in with us, and we allowed them to. Just allow yourself to feel the grief. It's so healing.
I love that you said, we allowed the tears, but then the laughter came as well.
Yeah.
There does come a point when you've cried all that you can cry in that session or that sitting.
Absolutely.
And then you get very dry and you're like, well, and
Keep hydrated.
Yeah, sometimes laughter just breaks.
Yeah.
And it often breaks at the most unusual times. Especially, you might have, there's often awkward laughter at funerals, and it just breaks the ice.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Lesson number 3.
Lesson number 3. So, helping others just may be the key to your own healing. I think in everyday life, when we help someone, it's such a good feeling. And you actually figure out that you get something from that moment yourself. You grow a little bit. You experience joy. Your character is strengthened. You're a little bit less selfless.
Totally.
All these things. We get something out of that situation. So imagine what your grief gets out of that situation.
I loved this story that I think I first heard from David Kessler in his book Finding Meaning. Fantastic book. But he shared the story about the spoons, and I'd never heard this story before. And a man passes away and he's taken to the gates of hell. And the gates are beautifully wrought with gold. And then you can see through the gates and there's green pastures, and you can smell the scent of 1,000 flowers. And he's taken into a dining hall where you can see a long dining table full of decadent foods and people lined either side. But the people were starving, crying out in hunger and in pain. And all of them had a spoon in their hand that was far longer than any spoon you'd ever seen. And they weren't able to get the food and feed themselves because of how long the spoon was. And then he was taken into another place that looked identical to what hell had looked like. And it was strangely similar. Wrought with gold, green pastures, flowers. And he was taken into a second dining hall and told that this was heaven. And you could see the same table, different people, but laughing and talking with joy and sharing stories. Each of them had the same spoons in their hand with extra long handles, but each person in heaven was helping feed somebody else with their spoon.
Wow.
And so his takeaway was that both places seem the same, but in hell no one was helping one another and were subjected to pain and misery and starvation. But in heaven, people were helping one another and able to eat and laugh
Yeah.
and share. And so, back to your point, I truly believe helping others is the key to unlocking your own story.
Yeah. And we've said it before, it may not be today. It may not be a today thing or this week thing, but any little chance you get that you're able to just, and it might not be helping someone through their grief,
Totally.
but helping them with anything.
Helping an elderly stranger cross the road.
Yeah.
Picking up something after it's, groceries are broken on the floor. Sending a kind text message to somebody
Yeah.
to encourage them. Small things can make a big difference
Absolutely.
and will help you.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
But I did actually prepare a bonus one.
A bonus?
Yeah.
Number 4?
Number
All
four.
right. Okay, what do you got?
This is what I wanted to bring to everyone because I think it's also very important to know that your future holds more than just grief. That hope, meaning, and purpose are still ahead of you. So if your grief feels heavy right now, if you feel like you can't see what's in the next hour, in the next day, if you feel like you can't get out of bed and you just don't know where hope's going to come from, I give you permission to borrow mine.
I love that. You can totally borrow. You
Can borrow yours?
You can borrow my hope. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, in the early stages of grief, we've got to borrow somebody's hope. Man, did I need somebody to tell me it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Even though everything in my mind and my heart were wrestling with me to tell me nothing's okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be okay. They're never coming back. They're dead. But there is purpose and meaning and hope after loss. And I think partly what makes us feel so trapped is not knowing. It's the uncertainty of how that future is going to play out without them in our life anymore. Because we've never done that before. They've always been here. They've always existed. And now they're not. But it's not that they don't exist. They do exist, but in a different way. And we have to learn ourselves how to exist in that newfound space
Yeah.
without them around physically.
Yeah. And definitely point 2 and 3 will help number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
By the choices and helping other people.
Yeah. So please borrow
Yeah.
our hope. If you're
Yes.
tuning into this podcast, hit subscribe. Make sure that you're lending and borrowing from us because
You too can be here one day.
yeah, and we're 13 years down the track. It doesn't and I'd say it took us a couple of years to get to a healthy stage, but we've learnt a lot. So you can borrow from us and
Yeah.
steal from that.
Yeah.
So
We dropped in on my friend's mum yesterday. She lives down the road.
lost power. She's in the
Lost
same
power.
situation as us.
Her 2 daughters live an hour away, and
But
they were calling us going, we haven't heard from mum.
She's also a recent widow. It's only
is.
2 years
2
ago that
years.
her husband passed.
Yes. And so they said, can you please drop in on mum and just check that she's okay? So I dropped in on Tracy. We helped her get her car out and get her phone starting to charge. And I told her about Good Grief. And she said, oh, that's amazing. I'd love to come to the meetup. And she goes, I'm 2 years in. Just tell me it gets better.
Wow.
And I said, yes, Tracy, it does. And she just had a little sigh of relief. Like,
She needs to meet.
okay.
She needs to meet my mum, right?
Yeah.
Because mum was in the same position 2 years in, but here she is, 13 years on, and
Yeah.
she has found newfound purpose and meaning to life, and she has hopes again and dreams
She
again.
does.
She plans for things in the future. She's excited for upcoming events and babies, and it does change.
Yeah.
Be open to it. be okay with borrowing ours when you don't have the strength, the faith, the joy, the hope, any of those things. We're here for you.
Yeah.
And maybe if you've listened this far in the episode, your next step is to join us on our workshop this week. So
Please do.
click the link below.
Yeah.
And if you can't make it, we'll send you a replay so you can catch all the goodness. But until next episode, big love from Liz and Anthony's couch. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Shout out.
And we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.